Well, hello, and welcome to Godly Play. Come on, join the circle. Wonder who's coming with you today? Any grown-ups? Any cats? How about dogs? You're welcome. Come on. There's lots of room. Wondering what other pets might be coming to join us. But we're glad that you're here. So, take a minute to get ready. Get your body ready, your eyes, your ears, your heart. Great. Well, here we are in the middle of the green and growing Sundays after Pentecost. Last week we were at the 12th Sunday after Pentecost, and this week we're moving the calendar 1 week to the 13th Sunday after Pentecost. So here we are on our church calendar. So, there was once someone who said such wonderful things and did such amazing things that people began to follow him. And as they followed him, they wondered who he was. And they couldn't help themselves. They just had to ask him who he was. And one of the times he said, "I am the light." Let's enjoy the light. I see the love of God in you, the light of Christ comes shining through, and I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. But this light didn't stay in that one place and in that one time, because he changed the light so it could be in all places and in all times. Watch as I change the light. Oh, there it's coming up. It's filling the room. It's going into where you are too. So that wherever we go today in Godly Play, that light will be with us. And when we leave, the light will go with us then too. So our story today comes from the book of Exodus, the second book of the Old Testament. And this story goes a long way in the book of Exodus. It starts in chapter 4 and goes all the way to the end of chapter 15. So you may want to check this out. And this story is part of the last couple of stories we've been reading together. So, are you ready for a story? So today's story, a story from the sacred shelves, top shelf of the sacred story shelf, takes place in the desert. So many of the stories of the people of God take place in the desert, that we need to have the desert in our Godly Play space. Of course, we can't have all the desert. So we just have this little piece of the desert. The desert is a dangerous place. There is no water and no food in the desert. And people die without food and water. Almost nothing grows in the desert, so people have to take all the food and water with them. When the winds blow, the sand shifts, so the desert is always changing its shape. So it's easy to get lost in the desert. And in the desert, it's very hot in the daytime. And at evening, it gets very cold. And when the wind blows, the sand bites your skin. So when people are in the desert, they need to wear special clothes to protect them from the sun and the cold and the wind and sand. The desert's a dangerous place. No one goes into the desert unless they really have to. The people of God were living in a place where no rain had fallen. It was so dry that there was no water for crops to grow. And without crops, there was no grain and very little food to eat. The children cried in their beds. They were so hungry. So the mothers and fathers decided that they needed to leave this land and go to another land where there was food. So, people of God left their land and went into the desert. It was hard in the desert. They were heading for the land of Egypt. One of the people of God, named Joseph, had been sold into slavery. But he had found favor with the Pharaoh and had helped the Pharaoh prepare for these years of no rain, and so food was plentiful in Egypt. So the people of God came and settled in the land of Egypt, where food was plentiful. Now, many years passed, and a new Pharaoh came to rule in the land of Egypt. And this Pharaoh had forgotten all about Joseph and how he had saved Egypt. And he trapped the people of God and would not let them go home. The people of God had to get up when the Pharaoh said. They had to eat when the Pharaoh said they could eat. They went to bed when the Pharaoh said they could go to bed. Everything they did, the Pharaoh told them to do. They were slaves. Now God heard the cries of the people of God. And he appeared in a burning bush to Moses, who had been born in the land of Egypt, but was living in the land of Midian as a shepherd. And God told Moses that he was to go and set the people free. So Moses left his land and came into Egypt and went to the Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And Pharaoh said, "No." Many times Moses came to the Pharaoh and said to him, "Let my people go." And each time Pharaoh said, "No." Then strange things began to happen in the land of Egypt. God sent plagues across the land of Egypt. And each time when Moses came to Pharaoh to ask him to let people of God go, Pharaoh said, "No." And then a terrible thing happened. One night, all the firstborn sons of the families of the Egyptians were killed. None of the children of the people of God were killed, because God had told them to take the blood of a lamb and put it on the top of their lintels of their doors. And the angel of death passed over them. Moses again went to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And Pharaoh said, "Yes." So Moses went, and the people of God became ready to go. They were in such a hurry that they didn't even have time to put leaven in their bread to make it rise so it was puffy like the normal bread that you can see in the supermarket. This bread was flat. It was unleavened. You can still taste this bread today. It's called matzah. And when you taste it, you'll be able to taste this story. Moses led the people of God out of Egypt, as God had promised. They hurried on their way. They were afraid that Pharaoh might change his mind. And sure enough, it wasn't long before they could feel the thundering hooves of the horses of the Egyptian army and the chariots, making the ground beneath them tremble. They hurried as fast as they could, but the Egyptians were coming close. And pushed the people of God right up against the water. The people of God did not know what to do. But God came close to Moses, and Moses came close to God, and God told Moses what to do. So Moses took his staff and stretched it out over the waters, and the waters parted, so that the people of God could cross. Oh, look at this one. It's really going fast. This one looks a bit confused. This one is really afraid. And this one, just wanting to get across. And finally, all the people of God were across the water, and the water closed up over the Egyptians. And the people of God were safe on the other side. They had crossed through the water into freedom, and they gave thanks to God, and Miriam led the dancing. Well, I wonder which part of this story you liked best. I wonder if it was this part. Tell the people that you're with, what's your favorite part? And I wonder what part of the story is most important. I wonder what you think. I wish I could hear what you were saying. I wonder what part of this story is about you and where you are in the story. And I wonder if any of the people in your family have had stories like this. These stories where they were captured and couldn't go home, or times when they were freed. Find times when they were wandering in the desert. Times where they crossed into freedom. I wonder who has those stories in your family. I'm hoping they'll be able to tell you. And I'm wondering if there's any part of this story we can leave out and still have all the story that we need. What about this? What do you think? Oh, I wish I could hear what you were saying. I know people in your circle are hearing and enjoying what you have to say. Well, thank you very much for joining us today in our Godly Play Circle and our great story that takes place in the desert today, the Passover of the people of God. This may be the second last time we get together this way. Next week we'll be getting together again on the YouTube channel, and there may be some changes for the fall, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm looking forward to being with you in a new way. And now, a blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. Let the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. If you know it, sing it with me. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Have a great week. See you next time.